Hello, welcome to GDW 2 Tutorial 8, Power-Ups, Interactables, and Coins. Today we will be adding in the ability to hit interactable blocks and collect whatever is inside of them, whether there is a coin or a power-up inside. We will also be adding in the mushroom power-up and adding coins to the level to collect while we play. So let's get started with our block interaction. As usual, let's start by opening up our Unity project. And now that it's open, we are actually going to download another Unity package, just like we did in tutorial 6 or 7. I don't know which one, but it was one of those two. So you're going to click the link in the description and it will take you to a Google Drive. And when you get here, you're just going to right click on this and click download. And once that is downloaded, you can go back into our Unity project. We can go into our assets, import custom package, and wherever you downloaded it, you just double click, make sure everything is checked off, and click import. And once that is done loading, we should have everything. So if we go into our prefabs, we can see that we have our block coin prefab, our regular coin prefab, and our interactables prefab. So the first thing we want to do is bring out interactables into our hierarchy, and then we have all of our blocks and coins in our level along with the rest of the level. It's perfect. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is in these prefabs, they haven't been finished yet because sometimes when they transfer over, some of the scripts and components don't actually carry over. So in our coin prefab, we can open it up and see what it has. So it has a transform, a sprite renderer, and it has our box collider 2D on it, and it has a missing script. That's because we haven't created our coin script yet, but we will be doing that in the future. Same thing with block coin. It has everything it needs right now, and this one actually isn't missing a script because it doesn't get a coin script put on it. Oh, never mind. Yes, it does. But right now it has everything else in it. And if we open up our interactables prefab, we can see everything that we put into our interactables. So each block has its own game object, and it has a box collider 2D and another missing script, which we will be creating. And that's why it says it doesn't exist right now, because we haven't created it in this project just yet. So if we go back here, we can start and get started. So the first thing we want to do is create our BlockHit script, because right now if we click play and go into our game and we first kill this guy, if we just hit the blocks, they don't do anything right now. They just get hit and they can be jumped on as well if we get on top of it, just like this. So right now they're just colliders and they don't do anything. So we need to actually create a new script. So in our gameplay folder, we are going to create another folder called blocks, and in here we are going to create a script called BlockHit. Oops, I spelt that wrong, so let me redo that. I'm going to delete it and create a script, BlockHit. Perfect. Now we can let it load and we can open it up to start coding. Alright, so now that it is open in our new script, as usual, the way we start is by creating the variables that we're going to need. So let's start with our serialized fields. The first one is going to be a game object called block item, and this is going to be the item that's actually inside the block that you're hitting. So when you hit it, this is the item that comes out of it. The next one we're going to have is a sprite, and we're going to call it used block, and under that we're going to have another sprite called unused block. And what these do is, when in the real Mario game, if we go back into it, the block starts as a question mark, but when you hit it in the Mario game, it changes from a question mark into a different sprite, which we will add to in a minute. But that's what these two variables are for, it's just going to be changing the sprite from our unused block into our used block once it gets hit. And to actually be able to change the blocks, we need to have a sprite renderer. So if we go all the way down here, sprite renderer, we can just call it sprite renderer, just like that. And then we only need a few more variables. So we're going to need two booleans. One is going to just be called BlockHit and equal to false. And the other one is going to be called BlockHit action performed and also equal to false. So the BlockHit means if it's true, that means the block has been hit. And this BlockHit action performed means we're going to make a function called BlockHit action. And in that function, it's going to do a specific thing based on what's inside of the block. And once that action has been performed, then we're going to set this to true. So we know that it no longer needs to perform any actions because it has already happened. And then the last variable we need is a game object called item, and we're just going to set it to null initially. And then we can start filling out our functions. So in our start function, we just need to set our sprite renderer, and that is everything we need to do. So sprite renderer equals get component sprite renderer, just like that. And then we are done with our start function, and then we can do our update function. So the first thing we need is an if statement, and we need if block has not been hit, we are going to do sprite renderer dot sprite equals unused block, just like that. And then under that, we're going to have an else statement, and we're going to do sprite renderer dot sprite equals used block, just like that. And then inside this else statement, we are not done, because once the block has been actually hit, we don't only want to change the sprite, we want to actually perform our block hit action. So we are going to do an if statement for if block hit action performed is not true. We are simply going to call block hit action, which we haven't created yet, but we will be in a second. So that is everything that we need in our update function. And now we can create our block hit action function. And then after that, we just need to add our on collision enter function to make sure we are dealing with collisions properly. So first we can do block hit action, just like this, open close brackets. And then we are going to check in this function whether the block contains a coin or whether the block contains a power up. And we're going to do two different things based on those things. So the first one is if block item dot compare tag is coin, then in here what we're going to do is item equals instantiate, and we're going to instantiate the block item at the transform dot position plus a new vector 3 of 0, inside the bracket 0 1 0, just like that. And then we're gonna need to put our rotation, so we need quaternion dot Euler, and then it's just gonna be 0 0 0, just like that. So what this line does is it instantiates our block item object at the position of the block plus 1 on the y value. So it's a little bit higher than the block, and we need this rotation parameter because that's just part of the function. And then this item just holds the value of whatever gets instantiated, just like this. And then under that, we're going to do a destroy item after 0.5 seconds, because when you hit a block and it has a coin inside of it, the coin appears and then disappears after a short amount of time. So in our case, it's 0.5 seconds. And then under that, we're going to need to do item dot get component rigid body 2D. Oops, I put the brackets inside. And we're going to add a force upwards on the coin. So it makes it kind of seem like a little animation of the coin coming out of the block. So that's what we're doing in our block hit action function, is we're making it look like when you hit the block that a coin is popping out of it and then coming back down, just like in the real game. So we need a vector2 dot up, and we're going to multiply by 5, and the force mode is going to be impulse, just like that. So that's everything we need in this if statement, and then under that one we're going to do another else if statement, and we're going to do block item dot compare tag, and this time it's going to be power up like this, and we're going to do something pretty similar but not exactly the same. We're going to do item equals instantiate again, and inside here we're going to instantiate the block item at transform.position plus another new vector 3, but this time the vector 3 is going to be 0, 1.01f, and 0. And then again we need to put the rotation in, Euler 0, 0, 0. So it's almost the exact same as this line above, just a little bit different. And then again we are going to copy this line and paste it right here, and it is in this case exactly the same. So that is everything in those if statements, and the last thing we need to do in this function is actually set BlockHit action performed to true, and then this function is finished. The last function we need to add is our onCollisionEnter2D function. I will get rid of the private keyword, and then we're going to do an if, and we're going to check if the player is the one colliding with the block. So if collision.gameObject.tag is equal to player, then inside here we're going to do an if collision.contacts at 0.normal.y is greater than 0.5. And again, you've seen this line many times. It's just checking if we are hitting it from a specific side of the collision. So in this case, it checks if the player is hitting it from the bottom of the block instead of from the sides or the top of the block. And then in here, we're just going to set BlockHit to true. And then that is everything we need to do in our collision function. So this is our whole BlockHit function. And now we can start filling out our variables and adding it into the actual scene itself. So let's open up our Unity again, just like this, and then we can start. Oh, it seems we have an error, so if I double click here, oh, I just accidentally added a slash, so no big deal. Let's go back in here, let it load, perfect, and then we can clear all of that. And so now we have our BlockHit function. So in our interactables, we have our interactable blocks, and we need to actually fill all of these blocks with whatever they are actually filled with. So first, let's just do the very first block so we can test it out. We have our coin block here. We're going to add our BlockHit script onto coin block, and here it's going to give us some inspector values that we can add in. So since it is a coin block, we need to add a block item. So our block item that we're going to add, if we go into prefabs, is block coin. But this actually might be a little bit messed up. So I think I'm just going to create a new prefab, but actually we can test it out first. So coin block, right here, we'll just drag block coin into our block item section. And then we need to find our sprites. So if we go into our sprite sheets, we can find the sprites for the blocks, which maybe is this one. Perfect. So we got our sprites here. So if we open up this arrow, and we can come down to here, open up our coin block again. Our used block is going to be this blank one, and our unused block is going to be the question mark one, just like this. So all of these values are now put in. Don't know why that's open. And we can remove this extra weird script thing that's not there, because that's just was there from the past. And we can click play, and we can actually test out and see if this works. Okay, so we're actually going to fix this up before we test it out, because I've realized that it actually isn't going to work yet. So what we're going to do is, if you click on the coin block, or we already removed the script on this one, but if you click on the coin block 1, and then go down to the bottom and hold shift and click, it'll select all of these, and we can remove this fake script here, just like this. And we can do the same thing with the coins. So if we go click on the first coin, scroll all the way down and shift click, we can remove this extra script as well. So they are not there anymore, just like that. So that is all good. And then we need to go into our prefabs, into BlockCoin. It says prefab has missing scripts. So we can open that and we can remove this script just like this. Perfect. And we can go into coin as well, remove this script as well, just like that. And now that those scripts are gone, that should be a little bit better. So now what we need to do is take our block coin, and it already has our coin tag on it. Our coin has our coin tag on it. But what we didn't do is actually set our Mario tag to be our player. So make sure that if you're ever making something collide by tag, that all of your game objects actually have the tag on them. So now that we've done all that, we can test it out. So if we click play, we can let it load, and then we can go and try and hit this first block. So let's kill this Goomba and jump and hit this block, and then a coin pops out and disappears. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. Now we can exit play mode and fill out the rest of these blocks as well. So if we go into interactable blocks, all of the coin blocks, we can select all of them. Or actually, before we do that, we need to add the script onto all of the blocks. So if we select all of the blocks, and we can add component, and it's called BlockHit, just like that. So now all of these are going to have the BlockHit script on it. And we want to have all of the question mark blocks to have the same sprites. So that will be this one to, I think, that one. Okay, and we can go and find our proper sprites again. So if we go into sprite sheets, scroll down, our used block is going to be this one. Our unused block is going to be this one. And then we need to fill out the other blocks, which will be all of those. So oops, I'm scrolling crazy. The used block is still going to be the same one, but this time the unused block is going to be this one. So it's not the question anymore, it's these ones. So we're going to drag that into the unused block, and then we need to fill out the block item for each of them. So these ones that I have selected now, we're actually not going to have the items that it says that they're supposed to have, because we're not going to be adding those power-ups such as Tanuki. I won't be adding the power-ups such as Tanuki or 1-ups or the POW. But for now, we're actually just going to make all of those have coins in them. So we are going to select every single block, and we are going to go up to prefabs, and in our block item, we are going to do block coin and drag it in. And the only thing we want to actually change is the shroom one, because we will be making a mushroom power-up, and that is the only power-up we will actually be making. But for now, we will keep it as coin, and then we can click play and test it out, and hopefully all of these now will give us coins when we jump into them. So jump coin, coin, go up here, coin, coin, perfect, just like that. Then we can exit play mode, and now we have block interaction working perfectly. Okay, so I will actually end this video here, and in the next video we will be doing the mushroom power-up, and we will be making it work completely perfectly and adding it to this block right over here, because in the actual World 1 Level 1, this is the block that has the mushroom come out of it. So I will end this one here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.